What's going on, you guys? This is New York Adventurer 1994 here, and today is Friday, April 25th, 2025, and I want to talk about my facts and opinions on the 2025 NHL playoffs. I haven't had a chance to do this video because I've been busy with other stuff, with Easter and all, and I've been doing some other videos too. But anyways, I'm gonna break down on each series and what I think what will happen and what's likely to happen. So I'm gonna start with the East first and then work my way to the West. So as we all know, there are no New York-based teams in the playoffs this year. I apologize for the bright lighting in the video. I don't know what's going on. So once again, there's no New York-based teams in the playoffs this year, sadly. And the closest thing to New York is the New Jersey Devils because they're really close to Manhattan. They're kind of like the New York metropolitan teams. They're classified as one of them, even though it's the most true New Jersey team in all professional sports. So, as far as Toronto and Ottawa are concerned, the Battle of Ontario up in Canada, I've been rooting for the Senators to win because they've been in a almost decade-long playoff drought. They haven't made the playoffs since 2017 when they got eliminated by the Pittsburgh Penguins in the conference finals, and it's been almost a decade since they last made the playoffs, and they've been through a lot of headaches the last several years. And they were like one of the worst teams in the NHL behind the Sabres and Canadiens and San Jose now and the Blackhawks and Red Wings. So yeah, I've been rooting for the Ottawa Senators the whole time because I've been feeling so bad for them because they were one of the worst teams in the NHL the last several years. And they were in a long playoff drought for 8 years, which lasted almost a decade. And it started back in 2017 when things really took a turn for the worse with them. And it turns out they've been playing really badly lately in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Not that they were playing badly, they were playing strong hockey, but Toronto kept on blowing past them, unfortunately. And I've been rooting for the Senators also because Tavares is on the Maple Leafs, and I hate Tavares for what he did to the Islanders back in 2018, which left many fans angered. Because he lied that he was going to keep playing with the team, and then he just left for Toronto, and there was this picture of him in a Maple Leafs bed. Yeah, so I'm rooting for Ottawa because I hate Tavares, and he's on the Maple Leafs. But I don't hate the Maple Leafs. I think they're an okay team, and they do deserve better, somewhat, because they haven't won a Stanley Cup since '67, and they have a and they are the top team with the longest Stanley Cup drought. So they are long overdue for a Stanley Cup, but I don't think they deserve it with Tavares on the team. So I'm rooting for Ottawa, especially because of all the headaches they went through. And I don't and there's no way in heck Ottawa's coming back. Ottawa's at the point now where they're just shot, and when you're trailing a series like this 3-0, you are facing elimination. So the Senators are facing elimination in Game 4 if Toronto wins this game tomorrow against Senators in Ottawa on Saturday. If Toronto wins Game 4 on Saturday in Ottawa, the Senators are eliminated and their season will be over. Yeah, this is what I was fearing actually when the Senators made the playoffs. I knew they weren't going to last long because they were just returning to the playoffs, and it's like really hard to get used to being back in the playoffs after all those years of choking. So this is kind of an understandable elimination because Ottawa's not really used to being back in the playoffs. And Toronto's been playing their pretty strong hockey lately. So this elimination is kind of understandable. But I do feel bad for them that they're facing elimination. Yeah, it's like almost definite that Ottawa's not going to move forward. And Toronto's just going to win it all. So, yeah. Now we have the Battle of Florida. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. I would normally be rooting for the Tampa Bay Lightning to run to the Cup again, but lately they've been choking and they've been hardly making it past the first round the last 2 years. And Florida has been playing their most strong hockey, especially when they made it to the finals 2 straight years and they won the Stanley Cup back in 2024. And lately, Tampa Bay's been choking in the first round and getting an early elimination. And even though McDonough's back, I don't think the Lightning's going to move forward. I feel like Florida's going to win the whole thing. I just feel it in my gut. I would be rooting for Tampa right now, but I have this bad gut feeling that they're not going to make it past Florida. And Florida's just going to take it home with them. So we now have Washington and Montreal Canadiens. So the Capitals are leading the series 2-1. This is the first time in a long time the Capitals are leading the series. And this might be the first time since 2018 when they advanced to another round. We haven't seen that in a while with them because lately they've been choking in the first round. And they're looking more stronger than ever. But on the other hand, I've been rooting for Montreal to win this because the Capitals are the only team I hate in the playoffs this year. And I really want Montreal to win this series, and I'm so glad that they were able to turn everything around tonight in Montreal. And they won Game 3 6-3. And Montreal was definitely strong tonight. They played really good hockey tonight. I'm really impressed with that. Hopefully the Canadiens will keep it up, but I don't see that being very likely because Washington's still a strong team and the Capitals look like they're going to win that one. Especially because the Canadiens haven't been in the playoffs for a while. And they kind of got in last minute. The Canadiens were strong enough to get into the playoffs, but they're not as strong still. They still got a while to go. I still feel like Washington's going to win it, even though the Canadiens were an underdog in 2021 and still made the Stanley Cup. But that's not always the case with underdogs, so I feel like Washington's just going to win it. Even though Montreal played their greatest tonight. But who knows? Maybe Montreal will surprise us again. Who knows? And this should be no surprise to anybody. I know both teams have been strong this year. Both the Devils and the Hurricanes. But let's face it. The Hurricanes are like one of the strongest teams in the NHL when it comes to the playoffs. Carolina is willing to destroy anybody in their path when it comes to the Stanley Cup playoffs. They usually play their strongest hockey there more than they do in the regular season. I feel like they're going to take out New Jersey. I have a strong gut feeling that they will because of how strong the Hurricanes are. And even though the Devils have been good lately this year and they were able to make the playoffs, they're not as strong as the Hurricanes are. So I feel like the Devils are going to have an early exit this year. Even though they're currently leading the game they're playing now at the Prudential Center in Jersey. In Newark right now. But I still see this being an early exit for the Devils. Now on to the West. So the Winnipeg Jets are currently leading the series against the St. Louis Blues. I have a feeling the Jets are going to pass the Blues this time. No offense to my dad's friend's favorite team, but the Blues aren't strong enough to move it to round two. They like just got back into the playoffs. Even though they played their greatest hockey last night and they made an unbelievable win last night, 7-2. I still feel like the Blues might have an early playoff exit unless they could turn around the next few games and get lucky. Maybe, who knows, maybe the Blues will surprise us even though they got in last minute. And as for the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche, both teams play really good playoff hockey, and they have been both known for advancing to the next round the last several years. So I don't know how this is gonna play out, but all I do know is that the Dallas Stars are leading the series 2-1 against the Avalanche, and it's hard to determine who will move to round two because both teams have a recent history of advancing to the next round. And we have the Minnesota Wild surprisingly leading the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm never really that optimistic about the Minnesota Wild because they have a long history of choking in the first round for almost a decade now, or just not making the playoffs altogether. But who knows? Maybe this will finally be their year they make it to round two for once, instead of just choking in the first round. As long as they stay on their feet, especially because of Matt Zuccarello being on the team. I would like to see Zuccarello move forward. But I've been refusing to root for the Wild fully the last several years because of how they choke in the first round. But hopefully this will be different, just like how it was back in 2015. Hopefully they stay on their feet and not let Vegas pass them. And they should be fine. And lastly, we have the Los Angeles Kings and the Oilers. This is the fourth straight year they are meeting in the first round of the playoffs. And this goes way back to 2022 when the Oilers were able to beat them 3 straight years. But with how the Kings are leading the series right now, I feel like this is the Kings' revenge against the Oilers for the last 3 years, and the Kings look like they're doing everything in their power to stop Edmonton from advancing to round two. Who knows what could happen? Edmonton might turn around in game 3. Because that's what the Oilers usually do. The Oilers are better known nowadays to advance to the next round than the Kings, but the Kings right now look like they're about to take their revenge on the Oilers this time because of their fourth straight meetup for fourth straight year in the first round. And after the Oilers beat them out 3 years in a row, the Kings look like they're getting pissed off and about to destroy them and get them back for the last 3 years. So yeah, this is what we got going on in the first round of the NHL 2025 playoffs. Once again, I'm sorry for the brightness of the video. I don't know what's going on. It might be the lens or it might be the screen being too bright for the camera. But this is what we got going on in the first round right now of the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll see how the rest of round 1 turns out, and yeah, I guess that's it. Bye.